Hey, what is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be doing a little bit of pond fishing. Nothing too serious, no kind of challenge or anything like that. We're just going to be going for fish, and that's the whole idea. It is the first day of July, and so I'm hoping that some of you guys can take some of this content, at least showing what I'm doing, and applying it to some of your summer fishing. Because somewhere up north or out west, summer is going to be a little bit later this month for you guys, but down in the southeast, it's already hitting. And so I'm hoping this can be a big help for you guys. If you guys like any of the stuff you guys are seeing in the video, feel free to check out those links. It really helps me out because those are affiliate links. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get right to it. Okay, so we're gonna be keeping it relatively light today. All I have with me is a topwater rod, a kind of like general purpose rod, and a wacky and finesse rod. And that is pretty much it. I've got my bank bag with me from Vexan. If you guys want to check that out, I have a link down below that can help get you guys some money off. More than likely, what we're going to be starting out with is just a weightless fluke. I'm going to be using this golden bream color from Zoom. Got ourselves some storm fronts out that way. So if we see lightning or anything like that, we are just going to drop it immediately. Got some good wind, and that can either help you or really hurt you in terms of your fishing. So we're just going to give it a nice little Texas rig. Nothing too crazy. A little bit off center, but we're just going to go ahead and get right to it. All right, let's go ahead and check our brakes. All right, so just going to make our first cast out there. I have fished this place before. It's actually mostly where I fish, do a lot of my fishing in college. So I know this pond relatively well. In that area, it is relatively shallow, and there's a lot of shallow grass in this area that can be really great for picking up bass, especially in these later parts of the day that might be a little bit more cool. These fish are going to push up a lot more often, which can be really great for picking up some bites, especially during the summer. So we're pretty much just waiting, letting that sink. And we're just going to give it a couple of slackline pops, and that is going to make that fluke dart left and right. Of course, you can weight these either with nail weights or with a swim bait hook, but I'm not using that. I'm just using a standard EWG, not a screw lock. And the reason for that is because I just don't want to be using them. I want this thing to be as weightless as possible and just fall nose first. So we're going to be working this in and around that grass and hopefully look like a distressed bait fish. Leaving that hook nice and exposed for any kind of fish that wants to come and get it. I'm taking these angled casts because I am working on being more efficient. That is the name of the game in summer fishing, is covering water and being efficient. If you're not being efficient, then you're not finding fish. And if you're not finding fish, you're not getting on fish. And that is one of the most important pieces of summer fishing, is finding fish. There is some thunder rumbling off in the distance, so I'm going to keep my eye on that, because that could easily turn bad very quickly. But pre-front fishing is honestly one of the best in the summer, because that barometric pressure drop, especially around high pressure, can be really beneficial for getting these fish stirred up. But this is usually what I use for Texas rigs. It's an 8.3 to 1 with a medium heavy fast 7'3". So I just like it personally because it gives me a little bit more length, a little bit more leverage, and an ability to set that hook a little bit more easily. So depending on what camp you're in, some people consider flukes a great way to cover water. Some people consider it more of a finessey approach. I think it's a little bit of a mix of both. Sometimes it can be really finessey, and sometimes it can be a great way to cover water, depending on how you rig it. I'm gonna go ahead and head over on into one of these corners, and hopefully, maybe, just maybe, find some fish. While also looking out for snakes, because it is that time of year in the south that copperheads and other snakes are in fact going to be out, which I really do not want to get bitten by a copperhead. I have actually come really close to being bit by a copperhead, and frankly, never again. It is a really scary experience. And for a couple of hours afterwards, you jump at everything that even remotely looks like... Whoa! Oh, speaking of snakes, that is a black rat snake. Hey, guy. Hey, buddy. How you doing, little man? We're just going to let you be. But holy crap, you just scared the crap out of me. He is right there. He's a friendly little guy. He lives on our property. Whew. Let's actually go ahead and get in front of you. Hey, big guy. Hey there. How you doing? Oh, what a beautiful snake. If I was more confident in handling snakes, I would handle him, but unfortunately, I am not. But he's just a little guy. But can't make that up. Whew. Jesus Christ. Hey, what did I say? Snakes are out right now. He's just a little black rat snake, or a black snake, so I'm not at all worried about him. If he came up and gave me a kiss, I'd probably just giggle and pick him up. A wacky rig is going to be one of the best lures to pick fish up on. So let's go ahead and rip open this top up here and hope that there is perfect. Got some wacky worms in there. All right, so we're just going to put those in my pocket while we rummage around. And right there, I've just got a 1/0 wacky hook, some 10-pound braid, and a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader. And we're just going to cast out. I'm going to be working this in slightly deeper water. And I say slightly deeper for this pond because it is approximately 4 foot there, which is kind of your upper limit for the wacky rig. I usually don't like to be fishing it in more than 5 foot of water without putting a nail weight in, which would turn it into a Nico rig. Whew. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a big. That is a big. That's a big fish. That is a big fish. I am going in. I'm going in for that. I'm going in. She ate good. Oh, that's a good one. Holy crap, you are skinny. You are incredibly skinny. Why are you so skinny? Holy crap, why are you so skinny? You've got the head of an 8, but the body of a 2. Holy, look at how jacked up this fish is, guys. Like that, I can fit my whole hand in that fish's mouth. But her body is just so skinny. I'm gonna say that's probably around 4 pounds, but I do not have a scale on me. God, look at that mouth. That is beautiful right there. This pond really needs some management, but whew, thanks for biting, big girl. Thank you for biting. You were a fun one. You didn't fight very hard, but I did have to go in and get that one. All right, there we go. So just in case we have any more incidents, I'm actually gonna put my Crocs in 4-wheel drive. Just in case I have to go into the water again, because I would not have been able to lift that fish up and out. But oh my God, that bass was really old, but had like 0 size on her. That is a bass that does not have enough forage. Oh my Jesus. But I will take a big Sheila any day, even if she is on Weight Watchers. But so this is a family-owned pond, and we are planning to drain this pond. The whole thing here, the whole idea here is that we are actually going to bust the dam. We're going to get some, oh, get him in. And there we go. There's fish number 2. There we go. Thank you for biting, Senor. Whew. So that's a little bit more of a proportional fish. He's probably around a pound, maybe a little bit less, but he looked a bit more his size. The other one, that was the head of like a 7 or 8. Any fish that I can get my whole fist in its mouth is probably going to be close to 7 or 8 pounds, or at least should be 7 or 8 pounds. But I think we have in fact found the pattern, and that is the wacky rig. So we're just going to go ahead and keep fishing the shallow bank, and whenever it gets a little bit less light, we are going to bring the frog back out and hopefully get some frogfish. But that's one of the things with these farm ponds. Whenever they have too many bass in them, yep. Yep. There we go. You get a lot of bass that are pushed up in the grass and really need to be managed. Whew, that is a hook that was not coming out for a second there. So we'll get that joker back in there. So one thing that is really important is, yes, you shouldn't be throwing fish. However, a fish that is in grass will not live. A fish that will not get in water that is swimmable will not live. So getting them out, up and over that grass as gingerly as possible is the most important thing. But pretty much how I like to work my wacky rigs is I try to cast this around any level of structure that I can. So here I'm using a medium light 6'10", and this is more going to be my wacky rig setup for whenever I'm fishing more open water. To me, this is more open water. There's a little bit of grass, but nothing crazy. If I'm going to be fishing more your heavy cover, I'm going to go up to a medium heavy fast with a longer rod, usually in that 7'3" to 7'5" range. But generally speaking, I'm always going to be using a spinning somewhere in that 3,000 size. I'm always going to be using a braided main line, either white or yellow, just because I prefer being able to see my line move. I don't know how well you guys can see this on camera, but anytime I get a bite, you can usually see that line movement if I'm not already feeling the jolt, and then I will run a fluorocarbon leader. And that's just for visibility so that these fish aren't constantly being braid shy. For example, that big Sheila that we got probably would not have bitten in this, I don't want to call it clear water, but you have at least a foot of visibility at any given time. It would not have bitten if we were running straight braid. If we were in dingy, super muddy water, then that could possibly be a different story. But for the most part, I'm always going to be running some kind of fluorocarbon leader. Usually with the hook size, I'm usually wanting to run a larger wacky hook, usually in that 1/0 size. I know some people run a number 1 or a number 2. I like the 1/0 because it usually increases the hookup ratio, especially if I'm running a 5, 6, or 7-inch worm, which I know some people usually run the 6 to 8-inch worm, but I'm usually running something in that 5 to 6 range. So pretty much whenever I'm working it, I'm going to cast close to the shallow structure. There we go. He's little. Oh, he's running right at me. Buddy, why are you running right at me? There we go. Buddy was basically running right at me the entire time. I don't know if you guys saw that in any way. Whew, Jesus. But pretty much, he did not stop. He basically took off like a bolt of lightning. And he's just such a little guy. But he took off and immediately started running at me. I'm pretty sure he's that guy that tried to eat my fluke earlier. Because where he hit was basically where my fluke was. And also, if you guys aren't running O-rings, I highly suggest you guys get on the O-rings. Or some kind of crossover, or whatever VMC calls it. Anything like that is going to greatly increase your hookup ratio, and also any kind of life with your wacky hooks, which is really important because wacky worms are really expensive. And Mr. Snake is right back there already. What can I say? Snakes are out, guys. So pretty much I'm just going to let it sink all the way to bottom, or at least most of the way in the water column, depending on what's on bottom. And then once it gets down there pretty good after, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds, depending on how deep I'm letting it go, I'm just going to hop it back up to the surface. Some people like to lift. I like to kind of jiggle it back up to surface because that can make the wacky worm flex more often. And sometimes that can make it a little bit more of an enticing bite. But we're just going to say hello to Mr. Snake. Thank you for not biting us earlier. Thank you, thank you. It's just so beautiful, though. Like, look at the coloration. Look at the length. He is jet black with a really nice white underbelly. Pretty much just solid black. Just a beautiful, beautiful black snake. But anyone who's younger or anything like that, please do not run around touching snakes if you don't know what they are. I myself am relatively good with identifying some of the Georgia species, but anything that is outside of Georgia, I myself do not try to identify because it is going to possibly end in a disaster for me, i.e. getting a bite or going to the hospital or losing a limb. So unless you know what you're doing or you're with a professional, which I myself am not, don't run around picking up snakes. All right, so nothing in the shallow cover. And yeah, that is technically shallow cover. Grass that is coming up above the water line, that is light shallow cover. Light shallow cover. Grass lines in general are great places to throw wacky worms. So if you're not doing that, definitely do it. That's another fish. Oh, he's a little better. Ooh, he is a little bit better. It's about 1.5 pounds. Maybe a pound. Yeah, there we go. Maybe a pound. There we go. So now that all that excess grass is here, I can just give him a gentle laying toss, fix my wacky rig, and we are back to fishing. We're just going to kind of let it go over there. So especially on the fall, there we go. Oh, there we go. He spit it. So can't always get a good hook set. Ideally, you want a good hook set, but you can't catch them all. That's why we call it fishing and not catching. Let's see if he had a buddy. Because I feel like they had a buddy. All right, so this is, oh, there we go. Oh, you're a little bit better. Release a, oh, my goodness gracious. Buddy really just does not have a mouth, I guess. If that was the same fish, I don't even know if that was the same fish. I'm gonna say it was. Oh my God, goodness gracious. And some of y'all are probably thinking, oh, why don't you just horse that fish in? Well, I'm running a fluorocarbon leader. If I drag it through this this gunk, he's gonna get snagged. I'm gonna lose pressure, all sorts of stuff. So in general, whenever I'm fishing, I need to work him towards an area where I can properly land that fish. Now, if he's small, then obviously I can just flip him in. Use his momentum for him and flip him onto the bank. But we can't always do that, and especially as we work further down that way, which is a little bit grassier. Oh, that's a decent fish. Is he just not grabbing the worm? What is going on right now? I feel like he's only grabbing the worm and just not very hard with it either. So fishing this kind of area right here, this is more kind of an area that I would really wish for a medium heavy, not a medium light, just to have more backbone to get these fish up and over this grass, just because it is not very prime fishing real estate. If I hook into a big fish, yep, it is just a winch battle at that point, getting any kind of fish up and over. Yeah, we can watch some Dexter later. Yeah. We're on season 5, right?
Season 5, episode 2.
Yep. Whew. So my brother and I, we just started season 5 of Dexter. Not going to talk about the show at all, because I don't want anyone to have to worry about spoilers, but yeah, it is my brother's second watch through and my overall first, but I'm actually going to downsize my frog. The fish in this pond tend to be really lazy eaters. So, cutting through that 55-pound braid is a challenge sometimes. So, we are the champions, my friend.
The sky's gonna open up in about 10 minutes according to radar.
Okay. All right, so we're actually going to do a walking frog right here. So. Oh, that is an absolute beauty of a walking frog. Really long legs though. That is the only problem I have with it. We are going to fish this until the sky opens up. And pretty much all I'm going to try and do is just walk this frog, which I usually like to do an angled rod tip down, and on slack line I will give it very gentle pumps. And that's going to cause it to go left, right, left, right, left, right. To walk a frog more effectively, try giving it the most gentle walks that you can. Because it's not always about as hard of a knock as the walking bait is. Sometimes it is about that little twitch and little crawl that really gets it walking. Ooh. Oh, there we go. That's a good fish. That is a good frog fish. Oh, come on, get out of there. Get out of there. Get out of there. Hoo, 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 hoo. There we go. That is a good fish right there. Down the daggum gullet. Sometimes that's all you gotta do. And she's got a little grass in her mouth. I am now incredibly happy because we got ourselves a frogfish. I will always be happy about getting a frogfish. After that frogfish, we saw some flashes of lightning in the actual sky. You guys can see that little band right there. And evidently it is going to be coming down in the next 5 minutes. But I wanted to talk to you guys about using wacky worms and also using a walking frog. This one has a little bit of a long skirt, as you guys can see. For this summer, those are going to be the 2 lures that I'm challenging you guys to get better with. And that's either through fishing them, watching my videos, watching other people's videos, because I understand you guys are gonna watch more than just me. That's just how people work. That's how the world works. I would actually be very ashamed if you only watched me. I'd be happy, but ashamed in the same way. But these are going to be the 2 lures that I really challenge you guys to throw more often. The wacky worm and a walking frog. I really hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's free, it helps me out. And as per usual, have fun catching fish, people. Peace.